Before all that, my first guests had never even rowed a boat before, yet this week completed an epic 4,800-kilometre crossing of the Atlantic to raise almost €450,000 for children born with congenital heart disease here in Ireland. The team was led by their captain, John O'Driscoll, who sadly lost his daughter, Saoirse, to the same disease last year. They're here tonight to tell us what their incredible crossing means to them and to so many families up and down the country. But first, check this out.
It's moving, baby! It's moving! Antigua, here we come.
Will you please welcome John O'Driscoll and team Power of One. John, you're feeling the love tonight. It's officially the world's toughest rowing race, 4,800 kilometres, 450 grand raised. What does it feel like to be home?
Oh, it's amazing to be back home. Talking about the love, we experienced this on the boat very early in our row. We had set up a WhatsApp group and we saw the hundreds of people that joined. And as I said to my family back home, really fueled the journey across the ocean. We had obviously an amazing cause behind us and why we were doing it, but having the support of the Irish community was just absolutely tremendous.
It was a trip that was inspired by your daughter, Saoirse. Can you tell us a wee bit about her?
An amazing little girl. You know, I sit here today and like every dad would be shouting at the TV when I say this. She was like 1 in a billion. She was just absolutely so special. As a young girl, a very outgoing, happy-go-lucky child. Participated like most other kids in day-to-day activities. As she got a little bit older, times got a bit tougher, you know what I mean? She had been through surgery at a very young age, at 6 months old, and she was pretty hardened to life in so many ways. She had been exposed to so many things. But in the 13 years we had with Saoirse, I could safely say that she taught me more than I could ever teach her as a parent. She really did open my eyes to life, family life especially, and about being there and about being present. She's absolutely, truly a wonderful child, and blessed to have the 13 years we had with her, but obviously completely devastated that she's no longer with us. And
when you guys were planning this and starting out this trip in your minds, it looked like Saoirse was going to be here to see it, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the anticipation. I mean, very early on in our lives when Saoirse was born, myself and Aoife, my wife, we started a charity calendar, which Saoirse became part of. And each year we used to raise between 20 and 30,000 for charity, raising over 450,000 for heart children up through that calendar process. And in 2019, Saoirse asked me on New Year's Eve, she said, I want to run the marathon. So that was our first venture together to do something. And I agreed to it. We did an assisted push, and I think Saoirse finished second under 18s that year as the girl that finished the marathon. And this journey about rowing the Atlantic, I had read a book about the Atlantic Challenge, and I felt it was a challenge that really represented and simulated with the challenge that kids with CHD have. I mean, their lives can be very unplanned. There can be a lot of things that go on in their lives that, you know, day to day, you know, between various challenges they have. Like even Saoirse had challenges when she got older, just getting dressed, you know, making it up the hall, going to school. And I felt,
which puts it all in perspective, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, and I felt kind of assimilating with that to go out there to do this on my family's behalf to raise money for charity would be amazing. But I suppose in the background, Saoirse was my superhero. I always wanted to, in her eyes, be her superhero. So I wanted to do something epic that she'd be proud of.
I mean, after this trip, Daragh, you know, you're all superheroes. I mean, what was the reaction of the families whenever you said that you were going to take this on?
They were probably used to me doing things. A couple of us, we've done Marathon des Sables, Ironmans, all that type of thing. So it wasn't a surprise, but it was a major challenge. We put a lot of training into it, about 3 years of training into it. But we couldn't really plan for what we were going to experience on the Atlantic. It was the waves, the sea, the conditions, the hardship.
The amazing thing about this, Conor, is that none of you were rowers before this.
No, it was definitely a midlife crisis on speed. That was phenomenal. As Daragh said, it was probably the toughest thing any of us has ever taken on. Like, it was 3 hours on the oars, 2 hours off for 39 days, 24/7. And we all lived in a boat that was 8 meters long by 1 meter wide. So it threw everything at us. As Daragh said, the ocean was completely unexpected. It went from flat calm to waves the size of a detached house.
And the thing about it is that you hadn't rowed before. You didn't just take part in the toughest rowing race in the world. You came third.
We came third. Yeah.
You came third.
Yeah.
I mean, what happened? Why did you not win it?
Well, well, we've discussed that the last couple of days. Is
there an inquest into that?
Part two. I think we set out to do the best race we could, and we trained very hard for 2 years. Like we in some ways we'd no business being there. In the top three. The first team was a Dutch professional team. They interviewed 120 people to get a crew of 4. Professional guy was boat builder. He interviewed 120 people to get 3 other people to row that boat with them. Young guys. They came in 2 days ahead of us, which sounds like a lot, but they were out to set a world record of 25 days, and they did it in 37. The next team to us was about 6 hours, I think, ahead. Yeah. And I think
we're half our age.
We've discussed this the last. Yeah, we've just our team age. John is the baby. We're 4 men and a baby.
Yeah, and, I get that.
John was 45. The eldest at one pointed out. 55, and in some ways we'd no business being there. But
well, you say you'd no business doing that. I mean, look at this. Look at this. This is the moment that you guys brought it home. I mean, just amazing scenes coming into Antigua. There you are. No word of the Dutch there, lads. There it is.
They were waiting for us.
Oh, they were waiting, yeah?
Yeah.
Did they buy a round?
They were super kind. I mean, you find a community. I mean, this ends up being a very close-knit community of people that you cross with.
There's an amazing shot. This is just one that I know this photo, all you guys are going to have this on your wall. Look at this. This is,
yes.
This is, I mean, it's very, I'm not going to lie, it's very take that. It's kind of... I'm getting very big relight my flare vibes off that. Roger, you have climbed Everest.
Yeah.
How did this compare to that?
Well, my background was climbing, and that's how I got onto the team Enda. And I had climbed in South America before. Climbing was my background. Everest obviously is a very big challenge in itself, but it is absolutely no comparison to this row. Everest, you have sort of one really big hard day, but there's a lot of opportunity for rest, for good food, for fresh food, for hot food. We had none of that on the boat. We had 39 days, 15 hours rowing a day without a break. Every one of us turned up for every shift, and the food was the same. It was repetitive. You couldn't have a day where you said, actually, I'm not feeling it today, guys, I need a day off. You had to get up and do your shift. There was no fresh food, and 39 days, there's no endurance race like it. All of us have done Ironman, Marathon des Sables, endurance activities, but even the Marathon des Sables, 6 marathons over 5 days,
nothing compared to this.
It's only a 5-day event, that one. This was 39 days.
Conor, take us through sort of like the day-to-day life on the boat. We have a little look at the boat here. I mean, it's not massive.
No. Yeah, it's 8 meters long. So you have a small cabin at both ends of the boat, and you have the 3 rowing positions. So we rotated a crew member every hour, 24 hours a day. So one person went into the cabin, one person came onto the oars, the person on the oars rowed for 3 hours, And the person in the cabin, they tried to clean themselves. That was probably the hardest part.
Yeah.
Getting clean was next or near impossible.
I mean, we're all thinking this, so I'm just going to ask it. Was there little boys' room on board, or how did that work?
Bucket and chuck it.
A bucket and chuck it.
Yes.
I think bucket, chuck it, and there might be something else in the end of that. Is there? Wow.
We had little.
It was the most comfortable seat in the house.
It actually was the most comfortable seat in the house.
Technically, it was a flower pot.
Yes.
Not a bucket, but, yes.
And so how much sleep were you getting?
Probably between 3 and 4 hours in a 24-hour period.
Okay. It's a small boat. It's a big ocean. And, who did you miss the most? What did you miss the most out there?
I found the isolation the hardest. I mean, I think, it was a story of humanity for me, the ocean, not about the ocean. It was about, the sea was the sea, the sky was the sky, the night sea was the sea, the night sky was the sky, and it was beautiful. Mother Nature was amazing and huge, and it was a great journey. It was so tough. I found the isolation, the attrition in the first week, the isolation of just being away from your family and trying to get used to this really tough experience, really hard. Like, I would class myself as tough. Most people would say I'm probably a bit of a hard ass, but I won't lie, I cried every day for 7 to 10 days. I rang my wife in tears and said, "Oh God, I miss you so much." If a boat had pulled up, I'd have probably gotten onto it. But you assimilate and you become a slave to the routine, and that's what gets you through. And then it just becomes normality, And the guys that I was with, the team were great.
I mean, was failure ever an option on this, John?
No. I was extremely sick. I got sick 2 days before we went on the row. I couldn't even do the training row with the guys. And it continued. I was vomiting for 10 days straight. I mean, I lost 17 kilos on the row. The guys will tell you I couldn't keep down water, I couldn't keep down food. And at no point in that journey was I ever going to give up. I mean, I kept pushing forward.
We've a picture here. I know when you crossed the line, you lit a single flare for Saoirse. You took a moment. There it is. Mixed emotions going through your head there, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was quite scary. A couple of days before we came in, I thought about actually being back in land. And as Enda's kind of described, you assimilate into rowing, eating, sleeping, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I soon realised I'm going to be back to see my wife soon, and I have to face the reality of my life. I have to remember that at this point in time, I'm not going to see Saoirse. She's not going to be there to welcome me on board. And it was quite scary to have to face back into that. I didn't know how our life would be as I get off the boat and reintroduce myself to my wife and my son. But as soon as I saw them, literally, I just couldn't wait to be with them, But now we're back. We're back to, for myself and Aoife, it's still the 16th of April last year,
You're back to that moment.
Yeah, so I still feel, I walk past Saoirse's room every night going to bed, I still feel, she's here with us. The first thought when I wake up in the morning is that she's in the room next door. And then the harsh reality happens that she's not there. She's not with us,
She's not with us, but in her memory, you have done this and you've changed so many families' lives. You've raised over €450,000 for families with congenital heart disease, which is amazing. For people watching tonight, what is the message you'd like them to take away from this?
The message I'd like people to take away from this is and I tell children all the time, and it was the message I wanted to give to Saoirse and Ree, my kids. If you put your mind onto something, there's nobody going to stand in your way, only you, right? You're the only roadblock in your life to tell you whether you can do something or not. And I learned that message from Saoirse. Saoirse was born against all odds. She fought for 13 years valiantly in her life. And she was always the first person to give back. She was always involved in the calendar. She would be organising the kids for the photo shoot. So it's our turn to give back. It's our turn to do something in her name. And this was always about creating awareness for organ donation, raising money to help other families. As I said to myself and Aoife, agreed early on, if I could change one child's life out of this, it's worth it.
You've changed a lot more than one. Guys, thank you so much for coming in. Inspiration is a word that gets thrown around fairly lightly, but I think we can all agree you guys are an inspiration. You really are. Thank you. You can still donate to Team Power One's Transatlantic Row in aid of Heart Children and Children's Health Foundation Crumlin. All the details are on idonate.ie. Thank you so much for coming in. One more time, Team Power One. It is Joan O'Driscoll, Conor McCarthy, Enda McNicholas, Daragh Kelly, and Roger McMorrow.